Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. For today's video, I'm going to be doing all of the books that I own video, which isn't that many, as you can see. My book collection used to be a lot bigger than this, but for those of you who don't know, I'm from Sudan, and a war broke out in Sudan. It's pretty devastating, and it's been going on for over a year now. And many people lost not only their homes, but their friends and families and their own lives. So basically, my family had to leave behind all of our things. I wasn't at Sudan at the time when the war actually broke out. I was completing my last year in university. And I do feel bad that I wasn't there with them during that period. But my mom always tells me that I should be really grateful that I didn't have to go through what they had to go through. It was a very long backstory, but essentially these are the books that I currently own. It's not many, but I'm very thankful for the books that I do own. We'll see whether or not it will expand with time. I'll start off with this first book. When I was leaving from Sudan to China, I wanted to bring a book along with me, and I ended up taking one of my dad's books, which I'm really glad that I did, and it's one of his favorite books. It's 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I know that my dad really likes an author or really likes a book when he has like multiple editions of that one book. So 100 Years of Solitude, he has like 4 or 5 copies. I'm pretty sure of this edition he has 2, and then he has a couple hard copies. And so he really likes this book, but I picked it because it's a classic. And also Gabriel Garcia Marquez is known for his magical realism, and I got introduced to that genre that I really like through this author. I'm really excited to finish it because I did start it and I really liked it, but then my life got really hectic and I stopped. Next is actually a comic book, and it's Batman's The Killing Joke. I'm not that big on comics, but I really liked the Dark Knight movies, and specifically I really liked Heath Ledger as the Joker. May he rest in peace. And so when I saw this and it's about the Joker's origin story, I decided to pick it up. But it's a really cool book, and so I'm really glad I have this as well. Next is Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower. I actually have no clue what this book is about. I think it's in a series, and I heard a lot about this author and about this book specifically, and I just kind of wanted to go into it blindly, but I'm really excited to read this book. Next is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And this book, I read like 200 pages of and I put it down. But the writing is beautiful in this book. It's very dark, very mysterious, but basically you follow this main character who falls in love with this man. The man is a lot older. I think she's pretty young, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, the man has been married before and his wife passed away. His wife that passed away, her name was Rebecca. And it seems like her death occurred under mysterious circumstances. The husband is very private. The main character herself doesn't know that much about him, and that just makes her want to find out more because she just wants to know who this man that she married is. Next, a book that I actually finished, Stoner by John Williams. Unfortunately for my coffee, a drink got spilt on it. The good thing is that none of the, like you could see the pages clearly, like there's no problem. But the bad thing is that it looks horrible, but it's okay. And also my friend was really nice and he basically blow dried the pages, and I just thought that was very sweet. So I'm keeping this copy. I just realized I didn't talk about what this book is about. But basically this book follows William Stoner and his life. It's very mundane. Basically nothing happens in this book. The book perfectly depicts the mundanities of life and how even though our lives can be pretty boring, not that much can be going on, but the issues and the problems that we encounter are complex because human beings themselves are complicated. This book depicts those complexities in a beautiful way, and I just really connected to the main character and just the struggles that he was going through. And so this book, I think it's going to become my favorite book if I read it enough times, but so far I've only read it once and I'm really excited to revisit it. Next is a collection of plays by Oscar Wilde. This I actually got from my friend because she didn't want it, and instead of throwing it away, I was like, I'll take it. I read The Importance of Being Earnest. It was really good. It was really funny. I'm not that big on plays. Like, the last play before this that I read was in school, and I think it was Macbeth, and I just wasn't that, like, it was okay. The next book is The Knife of Never Letting Go, and it's the first book in a trilogy. Honestly, I'm not that big on series. I really like standalone books. Books that once I finish with it, I'm finished with the story. But I think this is my favorite series ever. First of all, the name of the series is the Chaos Walking Trilogy. Like, the name alone is so cool. The story has to be amazing. I wasn't expecting to like the series as much as I did, and I still don't completely understand why I like this series as much as I do. Essentially, you follow this boy, his name is Todd Hewitt, and he lives in this town where you hear the thoughts of everyone. So there's no privacy, because everywhere you go, you can clearly hear and visualize what people are thinking. And as you can imagine, it's very loud. There's no way that you can keep a secret, and it's just uncomfortable constantly. He discovers this one location where there's complete silence, which is very abnormal. And the story takes off from there. It's so good. What I've heard is that usually the first book is like the best book in a series, but with this series, each book is really, really solid. Up until the end, I just really like the conclusion, the beginning, the characters. Todd is one of my favorite characters ever. I just feel like I need to protect him. Like, I need to protect him from the world and the evils of the world. Next is another book in a series. It's The Toll. It's the last book in the Scythe trilogy. And one of my goals for this year is to finish this trilogy, because I read the other two books a long time ago, and I just feel like I have to finish it now. I made it this far. I need to get through this book. I actually started reading it. It was okay. I think I just wasn't in the mood for fantasy. Fantasy isn't my go-to genre, and so I do think I need to be in a specific mood in order to be able to get through a book. And I guess when I picked this up, I just wasn't in the right mood. This trilogy, it basically talks about a time in the future where people don't die from natural causes anymore. And now they've appointed these scythes that pick who gets to die, essentially. And you follow these two main characters, a boy and a girl, and the story goes on from there. It's a pretty cool concept. Next is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. It's the only nonfiction book that I have here. It's basically a collection of essays. The topics are really cool. He talks about ACs, teddy bears, Diet Dr. Pepper, and just a whole bunch of random stuff. The reason that I really liked it is because he infused personal anecdotes into the essays, and so I felt like I was also getting to know a bit more about him. It was so easy to read. It was insightful, funny, and I also just picked up a lot of random facts. And so if you're into that type of stuff, or if you're in a reading slump, I would recommend this book. Also, it's just beautiful. I really like this book. I like the way it looks. Next is the only collection, technically two collections of poems, and they're by Robert Frost, A Boy's Will and North of Boston. Robert Frost, I got introduced to him in high school. I really liked his poems. I liked how lyrical his poetry was. I really like his poems because they're both light and heavy at the same time. What I mean by that is that they make me feel good, but with a hint of sadness, or sometimes a lot of sadness with a hint of happiness. But there's always a balance between those two things. I also really liked his usage of nature within the poems. My last 4 books are in English. I have 3 books in French. I have Diamant, la guitare de mon père, the guitar of my father. It has really cool illustrations. All of these books are children's books because my French is not that good. And Comment je suis devenu un fantôme, How I Became a Ghost or a Phantom. La Belle Histoire de Luc Le Lièvre, which is a very famous collection of children's stories from Senegal. My very last book I got yesterday actually, and it's a translated book. It's in Arabic, رسائل من تحت الأرض. It's by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Verbatim, it's letters from underground. So I think the English translation is probably something close to that as well. I read the first chapter yesterday. It was pretty funny, and so I'm looking forward to reading more. But honestly, I just heard that the story was good. I don't actually know what it's about, so we'll see whether or not I'll continue to like it. This will be the third work of Dostoevsky's that I read. I read The Karamazov Brothers, loved it. I read White Nights, which is a short story, did not like it, and now we're gonna read this one and we'll see whether or not I'll like it. I forgot one last book, and it's the book that I'm currently reading. It's called Of Human Bondage by William Somerset Maugham. You follow this boy, his name is Philip, and the various relationships he develops throughout the different stages in his life. It's a book about self-discovery, essentially. I'm really enjoying it so far. Yeah, those are all the books that I own. Let me know how many books you own, roughly. Do you have any books in your collection that really stand out to you? Like, you could lose all of these other books, but that one book, you can't, or you'd be upset that you lost. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.